these hearings. So that should be starting now. And the last thing to do is read through our hearing script, then we'll get started. So this is the June 22nd, 2022 session of the Zoning Hearing Examiner docket. My name is David Sturkey. I'm the Zoning Hearing Examiner for the City of Cincinnati, and I'll preside over this hearing. The case before us today is case number ZH20220084 and ZH20220085. The purpose of this hearing is to allow applicants and opposing parties to testify and to offer and refute evidence and testimony. The hearing will follow the rules found in the zoning code and the supplemental rules of the Zoning Hearing Examiner. All testimony and evidence that an applicant or any opposing party wishes to offer must be presented at this hearing, unless a party has submitted evidence or testimony in the form of writing prior to this hearing. The hearing will proceed as follows. The applicant's attorney, or the applicant's agent will first present the applicant's case. If we do have anyone here from the public, they'll have an opportunity to speak after the applicant has presented its case. In the event, I'll also give zoning plans examiner Walt Muller an opportunity to provide any testimony that he would like. In the event any party testifies or offers argument in opposition to this application, the applicant will have an opportunity to rebut that testimony and or argument that was offered in opposition. And then finally, the applicant will have an opportunity to make any closing statements. For our purposes here today, let's see. I may limit or exclude any testimony that I deem irrelevant or outside the scope of the application being considered. I may interrupt any speaker to ask questions or to make any comments. I may also refuse to consider hearsay testimony or documents. This generally means evidence you want to introduce that consists of statements made by someone who's not present at the hearing. In the event of any technical difficulties with the Zoom video conferencing technology, I will do my best to troubleshoot those on the fly, but to the extent there's some defect that prevents us from meaningfully going forward with the hearing, I may continue or postpone the hearing at my discretion. Okay. Last thing I need to do is swear in all of our witnesses. So if you intend on providing any testimony here today, making any statements, asking any questions, doing anything other than just strictly observing here today, then you need to be sworn in. So if that's you, if you could take yourself off mute at this time, I'll need everyone to raise their right hand. I need everyone to answer out loud. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you shall give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay. And Mr. Covell, I'll need you to take yourself off mute.
Okay.
You raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you shall give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Great. Thank you. And I'm sorry, I may put you on mute when you're not testifying, just because there was some background noise there. Okay.
Thank you. I was going to advise you of that.
Sure. And that's no problem. But I may, just so you know, throw you on mute if you're not testifying. So who's going to be taking the lead here today between Mr. Papademos and Mr. Covell on telling me about this project?
Let me do that. Let me go ahead and start. Unless you want to say something before I do.
No, I was going to yield the floor to you.
Okay.
Great. Mr. Papademos, the floor is yours.
So thank you so much for having us. And also I wanted to thank Walter on all these procedures. It's been very helpful. And we have gone through a few things. He has helped me a lot with everything, see what is the best case scenario that we have here. So a little bit brief history on Les Covell owns the property on the 2256, which is right on the right-hand side of the property that we own. And those are the two properties that we're going to be talking about. But I just want to give a little bit history. The house on the right-hand side, 2256, was built, everything per zoning code, building code, successfully been occupied, and everything is good. And then a few months later, they decided to purchase the properties on the left-hand side, which is the lot 52 and lot 51 and 50, and they built the exact similar home on those two properties, similar to the 2256. And so the footprint, the exterior.
Let me stop you there and make sure I have those addresses right. So you're saying that the owner has already built two homes across the street at different addresses that are the exact same as this?
It's only one home and it's on the 2256. If you're looking at the site plan where we have two homes that we're proposing, on the right hand side, 2256 is an existing home that Les had built just a few years back.
Got it. Okay. And so you want to build a home just to the north of that. This project is just to the north of that, the two homes?
Correct.
Okay.
And the footprint, the look, aesthetic, everything will be exactly the same like the one on the 2256. Correct. Those two are the two properties that highlighted.
Okay. And the building above it is still there?
Yes, it's still there. Yes.
Okay.
So the original intent when we first started was that we wanted to keep those two lots individual and to build the same footprint of the house, one for each one of those lots. Unfortunately, a little bit between the zoning requirements, square footage, but also the size of the property, we're not able to do that. So we did a couple of exercises, we ran them by Walter, and he gave us his recommendations, and based on everything, we concluded those two homes that you see on the property, they will be single-family homes, but they will be attached. So we'll we maintain the property lines. We will be able to build and design the same footprint and elevation. But unfortunately, the problem that we have on the Loth 51 is that the size of the home leaves us only about 1.5 feet from the side wall to the property. The house on the building on the lot 6, correct, that's the one. And that lot is a little bit smaller than the lot to the bottom of it.
So let me stop you right there. So you're saying the north side setback there is only going to be a foot from the property line?
About 1.5 feet, correct.
Okay. And what is the averaging required there?
Just to let you know, the house that was already built on the lot on the 2256, which is the one that was just built, has almost it has a little bit less than 1 foot of that setback on the north side. The average, I need to check a little bit. Can you give me 1 second to check a little bit on my notes?
Sure, go ahead.
Unless it's Walter, you happen to have that information really quick for us. But if not, I can check on my notes and find out.
Well, so
Yeah, if it's all right, I can jump in there, David. It's required to be 3 foot based on the averaging, and so they need a variance of 1.75 feet. Do apologize that you didn't get that ahead of time, but we do have it uploaded now.
gotcha. So all right, I have a couple questions. I'll wait though. Mr. Papadimos, is there anything else you want to tell me about the project?
On the there will be 2 attached single-family homes, and we talked a little bit with Walter about the hillside, the hillside district, and what are the requirements for backfill excavation and all that. And we have the consulted civil solutions, the soil surveyor, and they have done a kind of a preliminary geotechnical report, but as we start excavation on those 2 properties, they will be fully engaged on this project. So just to make sure that everything is appropriate. And then I think that so the single family home on the lot 51, which is on the left hand side as we're looking at it right now, that will have a very little Yeah, that's the one that we're requiring a little bit more variance relief, which is we're only left with about 1.5 feet. The property on the single family home on the left hand side that has the good side, the side setback, and we don't have any issue with that. Then both of them will have the driveways in the front. And then it will be sitting very similar to the house on the right hand side, which is the existing building on the address is 2256. The same footprint, the same look, good materials, low maintenance. It will fit definitely in the neighborhood, in the infrastructure. We won't disrupt anything outside of what we need to do for the excavation and the basement and walking. Yeah, I think that's it. That's it I have for now. I'm open to any conversation, questions, comments that you might have, and we can elaborate a little bit more after that.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Cavell, did you want to add anything to that? If so, you'll need to unmute, Mr. Cavell.
No, other than the fact that we feel that it'd be a nice addition to the neighborhood, which is being regentrified. Basically, the Port Authority sold us these 2 parcels with the hopes that we'd be able to build 2 homes there. The Port Authority just down the street on Loth just built 6 attached townhouses. I believe 5
Where are
of them
those?
within 3 days.
Where are those, Mr. Cavell?
They're right across from the school at Mulberry and Loth, right across the street from there. I'm not sure the exact address. I think it's 21 something or other, 2117. I'm not positive, but you can probably pull it up and see.
Sure.
They just, I think, and they had the ribbon cutting in April. And the following week, it was on the MLS, and they sold 5 of them within 3 days.
Okay. Anything else?
No, other than the fact that, we think it would contribute a lot to the community, and we think it's a good project, and we would like to continue building on that street. I love that street. I'm very passionate about it. That's really it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it, the opportunity to present this to you.
Sure, thanks for being here. Mr. Mueller, anything you'd like to add?
No, one of the things that created a little bit of an unusual situation for them, it looks like in the past, the house that's on the north side up there actually took a 10-foot section of that original lot because they had actually built a side yard porch and a set of exit stairs there. So they will be 10 foot from the other house, even though they are a little closer to that property line.
Gotcha. Okay, but Walt, are you saying that the house to the north
Yes.
built over the property line?
It looks like at one time they had done that, and then they separated off a new 10-foot section, and it is consolidated with that existing parcel now, which made the parcel that the house on the left, lot 51, substandard as far as a buildable lot if they were to reconfigure this.
Got it. Okay. So I guess this is for anyone really. I'm also familiar with this street. Sort of looking through now, it looks like this distance of setback is not necessarily uncommon, in that attached single-family homes and multifamily homes are common on this street. Does anyone want to confirm that or change that presumption that I made? All right, I'll ask directly. Mr. Notice, are you familiar with the street? Is that a true statement?
It is, and especially the house on your south of the existing house that was built. It has very close to almost I don't want to say zero setbacks, but it's a little bit less than 1 foot of a setback on the left-hand side.
Got it.
Hey, David,
Yep.
on the screen is those new ones they were just talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So these setbacks, if you look, just going all the way down the street are extremely close. And many of them are, yeah, many of them are at zero.
Is it the same district, Walt?
Yeah.
Yes.
Loth is all the same district?
Yes, it looks like it's all RMX.
Okay.
Yeah, it is. I'm scrolling down through there. So,
Okay.
yep, they're all RMX there.
Got it. All right. I want to just quickly sort of read into the record that letter, the email that I received, and allow you guys an opportunity to comment on that. This was from a property owner at 2248 Loth Street. And that person said they had some concerns. So I'll just read these in. Cutting into the hillside and creating shifting and erosion that may affect existing structures over time. When 2258 Loth was constructed, there were cuts into the hillside and caused a mouse infestation for this property owner. Parking, construction vehicles and workers during construction, long-term parking solution for the current neighborhood, construction debris being all over the ground in the neighborhood, timely completion of the project. This neighbor believes that the construction at 2258 Loth took several years to complete and sidewalks were blocked. Neighbors were inconvenienced during that time. There were damages to the sidewalks due to construction vehicles and that were never repaired. And there was streets and sidewalks were constantly covered in dirt and mud from construction and erosion at 2258 Loth. So many of these concerns appear to be related to the actual construction process and negative impacts that remained after, and then concerns about parking and earth movement in the hillside district. Mr. Papademos or Mr. Covell, would you like to comment on any of that? Mr. Covell, you'll have to unmute if you would like to respond.
There we go. I don't want to get into too much detail. That's highly exaggerated. We've had problems with her, as other people in the neighborhood have complained as well, because she, and I don't want to get into it, but she's just been a problem. She was always over there photographing things. She said, "Oh, it's going to disturb everything." You know, we're 75 feet away from her, and there was nothing done to the hillside. We had to dig out, you know, to put in the first level of that house to bring it down to street level. That had nothing to do with the actual hillside itself, because there's a retaining wall behind it that was built 100 years ago or so, and it's still there. Nothing has shifted. As far as mice problems, never heard of that from anyone in the neighborhood on either side of that house, to the north side or to the south side, or the existing house that we built at 2258 or 2256. The person that bought that has been there over a year now, and there's been no issues. She is correct. It took us a while to build it, but the sidewalk was torn up on both sides of the house of 2256. We didn't have any equipment going up on the other lots. So we've had to put a new sidewalk in front of ours because we had to have a curb cut in. So that was all new. So I think there's just a lot of exaggeration there from a neighbor that doesn't like change. That's all I can say.
Okay. Let me ask you guys specifically about the excavation, fill, any retaining walls for this property. Obviously, they're not, this is a hillside district, so if they exceeded what the allowed cuts were, we'd be talking about those more specifically, but can you comment on how much excavation will actually happen, the depth of the excavation and the cut into the hill?
Notice?
Let me see this. So there is no. I have included a building section along with the drawings that I submitted to everyone, but there is no, from what I can kind of guesstimate, it's not going to be more than 4 feet of the depth, only because the side kind of naturally slopes from the back to the front, and it's only, it's not going to be, and that's mostly is going to be on the perimeter of the foundation footing that it will require a little bit more. But as far as the finished basement, which is really the garage, the maximum that I see, and again approximate, is I don't think it will be more than the 4 foot of the excavation that it needs to be either removed or relocated or just totally fall down. We have engaged civil solutions that, from what they have told me preliminarily, is that they haven't seen any movement or anything crazy like that on this particular area. And because we're not disturbing the soil as much with the footprint, they don't think that there will be any fears or any stabilization like that. But of course, after we started doing excavation, they will be there, they will take a little bit closer, they will advise us. But as of now, from what I see and what I can tell from the contour lines and the footprint of the building, I don't think it will be more than 4 feet on the back side of the building, tapering to 0 at the front towards the street. The excavation backfill, reinforcing it, it's nothing like in Mount Adams or nothing crazy.
Got it. Okay. And it looks like from the site plans there is a 2-car garage for each of these. Is that right?
Correct.
So yeah. Okay. So each separate attached single family will have a garage for 2 cars.
Correct.
And a driveway.
In the driveway, that's why the house, the buildings are set back a little bit more comfortable, like some of the other ones, so it can allow a little bit additional parking, but also some maneuverability, because the way we have the staircase, due to the kind of a site restriction, it will require a little bit of maneuvering to enter the north building. The one on the south, it will be much easier, straightforward. But, yeah.
Okay.
David, just real quick, if I can jump in here, because I'd like to get it on the record. We did do a preliminary review of cut and fill, and as notice explains, if they get on site and find out they need to do more, if they exceed that 8 foot, they'll be back to see you. And then one of the things that I would like to also make sure that they're aware of, that if you have to move that property line and change the size of the lot for 60, and it gets below a certain level, you would need to have an exemption for size, and maybe you have to come back for that. So you want to make sure when you site that house, you site it exactly where that property line is. And then just back to the original permit was issued 7/2 of 17 and was finalized 7/18 of 2020. So just tad over 3 years, start to finish.
Okay. Thank you. All right. I think that's all the questions I have. Anything else from Mr. Papademos or Mr. Covell before we adjourn here today?
Do not have anything.
No.
Okay, great. So I've had a chance to review the application materials, the staff reports. I'm very familiar with the street. Based on all of that, based on the testimony here today, I'm going to approve each of these applications. They look like completely reasonable projects to me, and that they fit with the character of the neighborhood. So I need to formalize that decision in an actual written opinion. It may come as early as this week. I'm going to take some leave, so I'm going to try to get these decisions out before I do that. And so I would anticipate getting this pretty soon. as soon as you have that, you can start to work with Walt on getting the permitting approved. What I do is as soon as I finish them, and this property team is aware of this, as soon as I finish them, I put them in a PDF and I email them to everyone who's in the hearing today. So you all will have a copy of that really just moments after it's complete. And then again, once you have that, you can work with Walt on the permitting. If you have any questions in the meantime, feel free to reach out to myself or Walt. Looks like Walt has one more thing to add here. Go ahead, Walt.
Yeah, just wanted to jump in since I have changed positions. It may be assigned to one of our other plans examiners, and make sure that when you submit, because they haven't submitted yet, that they do include the decision with the submission so that it don't get lost. Because generally we get these assigned to us, but this will be assigned to someone else, and they may deny you right away without knowing that you've been approved. So make sure you attach it.
So when I send this out, I will include everyone in the hearing today, but also a woman named Emily Ahouse, which again, notice you may be familiar with. She's the zoning administrator. And so I think as you move forward, since Walt has moved on, be sure to include her in communications so she's aware of this too. And she'll be able to redirect it to whoever this gets assigned to next. If you have questions though, I'm sure Walt, I don't want to speak for you, but I'm sure he'd be happy to answer those as you move forward. And likewise with me. So yeah, if you want any updates on the status of the decision or have any questions, let us know. Otherwise, that's it. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
One question to make sure, we anticipate sometime next week that we have an approval decision. And at that point, maybe we should be ready to submit for zoning and building permit.
That's right.
Okay. Okay. Good.
Okay. All right.